Yeah. Next important point is it's already compiled statement. Why stored procedure? Why stored procedure? Why stored procedure? Anyone?
To perform many tasks at one time.
Right. Anyone? Why stored procedure? Vinod, tell me why stored procedure? Vinod, now Sammy can't tell me why stored procedure.
To improve the performance of the application.
How your application performance will improve because of stored procedure?
So store procedure will contain a compiled SQL statement. Due
So
to that reason, it will
what is the
execute
reason?
SQL
So
statement.
it's a compiled one. Because of that, how it will, how the application performance will improve? Reason. Explain, how it will improve. Prudvi, Pandu, you are working, na? Tell me. Vinod, I think you are also working. Hmm? Compile is not required for every. Right. Very simple. You observe. For example, every time we are writing programming, for example, you go to the SQL server. Right now I am in SQL server. You observe. You take a database. What is the frequently using database here? Maybe my database. Let me write select star from EMP. Now what is the database name?
My database.
My database.
What is that? What is the SQL command?
Select.
Start from
Select
EM.
star from EMP. Suppose if I will press F5 means execute button. Are you able to see my execute button, all of you?
Yes, sir.
If I will press F5 or execute button, what will happen? Sundara, if I will press F5 or execute button, what will happen?
It will execute the select um, statement, but in this case, it will give all the values of employee table.
Yeah, that is okay, but what it will happen if I will press F5 or execute button?
It will compile the statements and
Yeah, it will do two
display the
things.
result.
It will do two things. Number one, first it will compile. Number one, it will compile. Compile means it will check what
Yes,
syntaxes. Number two, it will
display the output.
execute. It will execute. It will execute. Execution means will give output. Okay. So when I press, you observe again. I'm pressing execute. What happened? First, compile. Second, execution.
Execute.
Execution. Again, I selected the. You observe. Again, I selected the command. Again, I press execute. What happened? First, compile.
Compile,
Second,
execute.
execute. Now I selected the command execute. First, compile. Second,
Compile, execute.
Execution.
Every time it is
I have
compiling
pressed
and then
execute button 3 times. 3 times it is compiled, 3 times it is
executed.
executed. But actually, already it's see, compilation is for what?
check the statement
Syntaxes.
if there are any.
Already syntax wise the SQL command is what correct. But even though it's
Correct.
compiled every time, am I right?
Yes.
Once you compile, once it is syntax is corrected, it doesn't require compilation for every time. But when you execute every time when you call it, it's compiling and executing, compiling and executing. Now you see now, you observe. Now you see. Now what happened?
Yes, sir.
Only compiled. At the time of compilation, what happened? It is giving what? Error. Which error? Syntax error.
Syntax error.
Syntax error. So no execution. Now again I am unselecting, selecting, correcting the issue. Press what? Execute. Now what happened?
Compile and execute.
Been compiled and executed.
Now what
Compile and
happened?
execution.
What happened? Compiled and executed. Okay, so one time. Next time also compiled and execution.
Executed.
100 times I press execute button. How many times it will compile?
100 times.
How many times it will execute?
100 times.
100 times. Same way, come back to our front end. Come back to our front end. Now, right. Okay. Able to see my whiteboard? Digital board.
Yes, sir.
Now you see, guys, what is happening. We will see. For all requested people, I have sent recordings. Have you received, guys?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
1 second. Whoever sent me. Now I am going to introduce one person in next class. His name is Sai. Now onwards, the one facility I am going to give you, that is, 1 minute. Whenever you requested for a recording, within 1 hour you will get the recording. Suppose you missed today class, immediately if you send a mail, within 1-2 hours you will get a recording. I'm arranging one person for that work, only sending recordings, because every time it's getting delay. That should not affect the students' preparation. That's the reason. Sai will be joining in our session, next session onwards. He will support you regarding sending recordings and sending like any technical doubts also. He will sit with you. Important installation issues, any issues you will have. I'll introduce him tomorrow or day after tomorrow. He will join with us. Right. Come back to our discussion. Right. You have a database. This is your database. The database name is my database. My database. The table name is EMP. What is the table name, guys?
EMP.
EMP. EMP table is having records. EMPNO, EMP name, again salary, 111, Rama, 1000, 222, 2000, sorry, Sita, 2000. Here you have a front end. Here you have a front end. In front end, in your .NET application, it is your web page. That is webform1.aspx design. You have a grid view. Here you have a button display. Your requirement is whenever you click the display button, you want to display which table here?
EMP table.
You want to display EMP table. That is your requirement. You want to display EMP table. Are you clear?
Yes, sir.
So where you will write the logic under? Click
Display.
event.
Button click.
Under click event you will write a one SQL command. What is that SQL command? Select star from
Start
From
EMP. Right, all of you?
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir.
You are written
Yes, sir.
same logic. I hope you understood what I am speaking.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Right. You click the button first time. What will happen? Click event will file. Under click event, select star from EMP will be executing within the SQL server.
I did that.
SQL server within the database. First what will happen?
It will compile
Compile.
the select sheet.
Second it will do what?
Execute.
Execute. So you clicked button first time. Again you click the button second time. Are you able to see my 1, 2, 3 in whiteboard? 1, 2.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Right. Again what will happen? Click event will fire. Again what will happen? It will
Compile and execute.
compile and execute. Execute. Again you click the button third time. Again what will happen?
Again,
Compile,
compile and execute.
compile and execute. Like that I clicked the button 100 times. User clicked the button 100 times. How many times it will compile?
100 times.
100 times. How many times it will execute?
100 times.
100 times. I'm clicking 1000 times this button. How many times it will compile?
1000 times.
1000 times compile, 1000 times execution. So execution required how many times?
1000 times.
1000 times. Output you required 1000 times. But compilation required how many times?
Only one.
Only one.
One time. Remaining 999 times compilation is called what compilation?
Unnecessary.
Unnecessary compilation. That unnecessary compilation we can avoid with the help of a concept called stored procedure. That unnecessary compilation we can avoid with the help of a concept called, come on, concept called stored procedure. Stored procedure. How? You can ask me. Right. I'll tell you. I'll tell you. What I will do, same requirement. What is that? Same requirement. What is your SQL command?
Select star from EMP.
Select star from EMP. Your SQL command is select star from EMP. Then this time, we will not implement plain SQL command. We will write a stored procedure. Come on, we'll write a stored procedure. Stored procedure is written by .NET programmer or SQL developer? Generally,
SQL developer.
SQL backend developer. Okay. Backend developer is written a stored procedure for your requirement. That stored procedure name is sp_emp. Assume in this stored procedure he has written a SQL command called, what is that?
Select star from EMP.
Select star from EMP. Okay. What he has done, he has, come on, compile. First he has done what? First he compiled
Compile.
and executed. So right now stored procedure name is
SP_EMP.
sp_emp. That sp_emp stored procedure contain what?
SQL command.
Contain what? Contain what? Pre-compiled SQL
SQL
statement.
statement.
Pre-compiled SQL statement. Pre-compiled SQL statement. It contains pre-compiled SQL statement. That stored procedure written by the developer, SQL developer. He compiled that and he executed. It is working. Then what he will do? He will give that stored procedure to front-end developer. Now front-end developer required the stored procedure. He will write the code under click event. Here, instead of a select star from EMP, he will call a stored procedure called SP underscore
EMP.
SP underscore EMP. So already the SP underscore EMP contain what? Select command.
SQL statement.
Select command. That select command is what? Compiled one. Already
Compiled.
compiled. So it will directly
Execute.
execute. You click the button first time. What happened? SQL command will stored
directly
procedure will do what?
discover.
It will directly
Execute.
execution. You click the button second time. The stored procedure will execute the SQL command directly. Third time. You click the button 1000 times. 1000 times also SQL command will execute because already that stored procedure contain pre-compiled SQL command. Already it is compiled by the SQL developer. Directly it will execute. In this case, out of 1000 clicks, how many times the stored procedure is compiled?
Only one.
0 times. Because already it's compiled by the SQL developer. While he defined stored procedure, first he will compile and he will execute. Then whenever you call the stored procedure, it will not compile again. It is already, that's why it's a pre-compiled. It will never compile again. Directly it will
Execute.
It will execute. Directly it will execute. So out of, when you click 1000 times, you are calling stored procedure 1000 times. 1000 times SQL command will be executed. Finally, this SQL command by the either developer or front-end developer or back-end developer, how many times it's compiled?
Only one.
Only one time. And remaining only one time. One time it's compiled by the SQL developer. But every time it's executed. Finally, you are avoided what? Unnecessary compilation, which improves the performance of the application. It's improve the performance of the application. Okay, right. That is the main purpose of a concept called stored procedure. Stored procedure. Why stored procedure? You can say to avoid unnecessary compilation. To avoid unnecessary compilation. To avoid unnecessary compilation and to improve the performance of application. To improve the performance of application. In real-time projects development, nowhere people will use normal SQL commands. Everywhere people will use only stored procedure. Now onwards, you people. Now onwards, when I am talking yesterday with so many people in US, everybody are telling only one thing. In US, in online trainings, nobody will teach these many topics and this much time. People just will touch main topics and they will wind up the course. Then only it will work out financially for the faculty. Otherwise, no waste of training like this. And I said, everybody commercially, you should be commercially, you should not teach all these topics like .NET. You are teaching like academic. Okay, people just will touch main topics and will wind up the course. But according to my plan in India or in US, only one thing. Whenever there is a subject, means we should not cut the subject. Full detailed subject you have to learn. That is the reason after training is completed in .NET, also people are depending on proxies and work supports because of the type of trainings. Okay,